Nonprofit for food will lose that service. It comes down to money. Meals on Wheels San Antonio delivers free meals to the elderly, disabled, and people who are too sick to prepare their own food.
The nonprofit gets a chunk of its funding from the Alamo Area Council of Governments, or ACOG, and some of that money has dried up. So Meals on Wheels San Antonio has had to make a tough decision. They're focusing on the people who need its services the most. The nonprofit's CEO says in part, quote, "This is one of the most difficult decisions we have ever had to make. We know how much these meals and visits mean to our clients. They provide nourishment, companionship, and safety." Meals on Wheels San Antonio says that if they do get more funding, they could reverse this decision.
Well, the government shutdown enters its third week today, with many essential airport workers warning the heightened risk travelers face as the shutdown strains staffing levels.
And ABC's Christian Cordero reports today a vote on the House spending bill is expected to fail, as it has 8 consecutive times.
Today, Congress plans to vote on the House Republican spending bill for a 9th time. But with both sides dug in, its result is all but certain.
It's now been over 2 weeks since Republicans shut the government down because they refused to work with Democrats in a serious way to fix the health care crisis looming over the American people.
Democrats are holding out on the extension of Obamacare subsidies and the restoration of Republican cuts to Medicaid, a debate Republican leaders want to push to another day after the government reopens.
Until Schumer and the left wing of his party are satisfied enough that the pain this shutdown has caused has reached a limit that they're satisfied with, then the Republicans are going to stand here every single day, and we're going to continue to deliver the simple facts directly to the American people.
An estimated 750,000 federal workers have been furloughed. Essential employees like TSA agents and air traffic controllers are forced to work without pay, some of which warn the shutdown is jeopardizing travelers' safety by making the already strained staffing levels worse.
This introduces a new risk to aviation. Air traffic controllers are supposed to mitigate risk.
And today, major airports, including ones in Chicago, New York City, and Atlanta, refused to air a video the Department of Homeland Security rolled out nationwide, pointing to policies around political messaging in their facilities. The video shows Secretary Kristi Noem blaming Democrats for the shutdown.
And our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
The standoff in Washington has no end in sight. President Trump yesterday said the White House will not negotiate until the government is back open, threatening to permanently cut programs that are important to Democrats if nothing changes.
We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work.
Amid a push to pay the military, service members did get paid today from leftover funds the Trump administration says were originally earmarked for research at the Pentagon. Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Well, October continues, 82 degrees, and yeah, we're in the middle of October, but I do still appreciate being in the shade, and it's not too bad when we can find that shade out there.
Oh, absolutely. The only issue you might have with sitting in the shade is really starting to feel some of those allergens. Ragweed is still sitting at moderate levels, mold still low, but at 260, and the aquifer, although we did have a little bit of a stint where we were going up and up, we are down half a foot today, but here's some good news. Although the aquifer is going down, we do have some rain chances. It is still low rain chances, but any rain is good rain. Starting this weekend and even next weekend, we're tracking more chances of rain. I'll break down what you need to know as we head into the weekend, coming up after the break.
Now, there are times in the year where we do not even sniff at a 10% chance of rain. But right now, we really do need to get excited about anything because the drought is worsening.
The drought's still worsening. We've been in this drought for 4 years now. So any rain is good rain, especially even though it's a 10% chance. But it's not arriving today. It's closer to the weekend, which I know isn't great news. But take a look outside right now. Temperature is still sitting in the 80s and seeing still that relatively low humidity. Although 49% is still high for some folks, it is still lower than what we've been seeing. It's been lower than what we were this morning. And throughout the next few hours, we're going to see that humidity continue to decrease. Peak temperature today about 90 degrees for most of us. Still seeing that low humidity and that cloud coverage as we go throughout the rest of your afternoon, already getting into the 70s by 10 p.m. tonight. But the reason we're still seeing not much of a change in the weather pattern is because of this area of high pressure, that heat high, that's been sitting over Texas for the last few weeks and even the last month or so. And that really hasn't allowed for any rain. But what we're watching is this area of low pressure bringing in some Pacific moisture and really starting to deepen and give some folks some cooler temperatures, but not really for us in San Antonio. So as that low pressure continues to inch closer and closer, it's also going to split into two different low pressure systems. And the one to the south is going to have a weak frontal system associated with it. And that could make its way closer to San Antonio. Yes, there is going to be some dry air behind it, but on the leading edge of it, that's what we're tracking for, maybe a few chances of a sprinkle or a shower or two as we go into Friday and Saturday, and that finally pushes out, and behind it, once again, we start to see another heat high really take over and take effect in South Texas, which I know is not necessarily the best news. But even before that front moves through, like I mentioned, we have some rain chances. Most of the rain associated with this front is going to be well up to the north near Minneapolis and Chicago. But zooming into San Antonio, we could see some areas seeing a little bit of rain. Now, it is still going to be traces, but as you get closer to Houston near the coastal plains, you could see maybe over 1/4 of an inch or even closer to 1/2 inch out to the west near the hill country near Arizona, or even closer to Del Rio and Laredo. A little bit of rain, once again, a few hundredths of an inch, but we need the rain. This has been one of the drier Octobers as we've seen throughout the years, and so far we've had 0 rain in the entire month. So any rain is good rain for us in San Antonio. And really, that's the only rain chances we're tracking over the next 7 days, Friday and Saturday. We are tracking more rain next weekend, but that's still a week away and things can change ever so slightly. But I'll talk about the cooler temperatures that could be possible with that cool front bringing the rain coming up later on, guys.
Thank you, Shelby. We hope that there is some rain in sight somewhere, anywhere. Thank you. Well, she's a local mascot that gets baseball fans hyped up, all while paying homage to Hispanic culture. So RJ Marquez will help us get to know her this noon.
Well, today is the last day for Hispanic Heritage Month, and we wanted to wrap up the month with a lighthearted story on a fun local mascot.
RJ Marquez met with the one and only Mama Peño, who is the official mascot for the Flying Chanclas de San Antonio. So here's her story and what she means for San Antonio baseball fans and families.
Skill, grace, wisdom, knowledge, an egg, and a chancla. This is Mama Peño, the Flying Chanclas mascot. I wanted to know more about what Mama Peño represents for the Missions and San Antonio.
Quickly became a fan favorite as any of our other mascots and took over, and it's just been amazing.
Mama Peño flew onto the scene in 2018 through a minor league baseball program that connects local cultures through unique team identities.
What do you think Mama Peño kind of represents for Hispanic culture?
That is the matriarch of the Hispanic family. Everybody's like, we've got to have an abuelita to be able to throw the chancla because that's who could hit anybody wherever they're at.
How are some ways that Mama Peño has evolved?
Got some fashion in her. She's done really well with that. She's added the chancla that she's always got with us, and then she always has an egg that she'll bring out and want to rub on people. And
how do you think that Mama Peño sort of connects with a lot of these younger fans?
With our, big boiling pot of people, it helps us bring this culture to that and bring these kids, these younger kids, into seeing their culture as part of the game.
What kind of distance does Mama Peño have with that chancla?
It kind of slings it from the side, and she can hit you from about 20 feet, 20, 30 feet.
What I wanted to do was get a quick tutorial to see exactly what is sort of the best sort of flying chancla throw. All right, Mama Peño, let me have it. I am your target. Oh, okay, that wasn't bad. On the ricochet, it got me. All right, I'm gonna try and fling it. All right. Oh. Clearly, I don't have the full technique yet, but we have the egg too.
But at least I got my spiritual cleansing and got to know more about Mama Peño.
And Mama Peño just helps us bring us even closer to the community, and we love every bit of it.
Reporting from Wolf Stadium on the west side, RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
We need her to bring us that egg over here.
Right? Share with us.
That was great. All right, it's a nonprofit that helps strengthen families as they navigate life. Japhanie Gray gives us a look inside at how the organization is helping one local woman.
We're continuing our coverage of this shooting involving 2 San Antonio police officers. We were here just minutes after the call went out, but there were people who were here and witnessed it all. You're going to hear from them coming up.
Well, back to our top story this noon. What started with San Antonio police answering a 911 call left officers in need of help themselves.
2 officers suffered gunshot wounds in a shootout with an armed man who they ended up shooting and killing.
Well, again, our Katrina Weber is live where it all happened at a motel near Highway 90 and Military Drive. And Katrina, how serious were their wounds?
Well, in the words of Police Chief William McManus, both of those officers should be okay. He says they each were shot in the arm, although one of them also suffered another gunshot wound to another part of his body. Now, those shootings, which happened just before 8:30 this morning, had fellow police officers flooding into this area. Chief William McManus says before that, a 911 hang-up call is what first got the attention of those officers involved in the shooting. They happened to be in the area when that call came in. McManus says he believes that call, which came from a woman, is somehow related to what happened next. He says a man in the parking lot of the motel began taunting and gesturing at the officers. At some point, he told them he was not going back to jail, then started to run away. McManus says the man then reached into his waistband, pulled a gun, started firing at those officers who shot back. The man was killed. The 2 officers who were shot, again, are in the hospital recovering.
We were very, very lucky. As this officer was, as the suspect was pulling out that gun shooting, one of the officers jumped on.
In all, McManus says 3 officers fired their weapons at that man. The 2 who were shot have been with the department about 5 or 6 years. Now, it's clear from all of the police cars you see here that this investigation is still going on. Chief McManus says he still has a whole lot of questions, including how this all happened and why. Now, our Patty Santos has been here at the scene since shortly after this happened. I know, Patty, that you've been talking to some of the people nearby. What have you found out?
Hey there, Kat. So I want to give y'all folks at home a perspective of what we're looking at right now. Alex Gomez is going to pan out. This is still a very active scene right now. We got here to the scene when this was still very fresh. I got a chance to talk to some people who heard the shots but didn't know what led up to it. And there were plenty of witnesses who were talking to officers here at the Travelodge Motel. Officers at the time when we got here were going door to door, checking in on people. And most people who didn't want to go on camera, or they said they didn't want their names used, they heard a series of shots, and that's when they knew that something was wrong.
We just heard really loud, like they weren't crazy loud, but they were gunshots, like you could tell. But it went on for at least a minute.
I saw one cop checking on, somebody laying on the ground, and that's when I kind of assumed that, after the shots, and then, they were kind of pacing back and forth. They were kind of running too, back and forth, and it seemed like they were kind of panicking.
And a lot of this happened during the morning rush hour. It's right off of Highway 90, so a lot of those people that might have seen something really just simply left. But again, this is still a very active scene. We just saw the medical examiner arrive, possibly to pick up the body here, and this might likely clear out here in the next hour or so. That is what we have right now for you. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you to both Patty and Katrina for that reporting. We were on the scene very early, and we will be continuing this coverage all day long into the evening.
For now, it is 82 degrees out there. They were out there doing these live shots without shade, so probably a little warm for them, Shelby.
Definitely a little warm. I wish we had some sort of cloud coverage to allow the temperatures to be a little cooler, but the cloud coverage we're going to see this weekend could provide some moisture. But like I mentioned earlier, there's also some rain chances this weekend and next weekend. Now, what we're watching for next weekend and specifically, that could have a higher chance of some rainfall totals and just some rainfall in general. We are still tracking it to be about 10 days away, so things can change ever so slightly, but we're still tracking the above average rain being possible and even about a 10 to even 30% chance of rain next weekend. So we will continue to keep you posted. But right now, like we've been talking about, when Patty and Katrina were outside, it was sunny skies for us in San Antonio. We're starting to see a little bit of those cumulus clouds try to pop up just just to the west, as most of them are along the Rio and even down south near the valley. But really, that's going to be the story for today. Still seeing some sort of cloud coverage as we head throughout the next few hours. Temperatures already in the 90s, 90 being our peak temperature today. But like I've been mentioning, it is still going to be a little warm. I'll talk about what's causing the warmth and where we can see some cooler air across the country coming up in just a bit.
So much, Shelby. Well, some new information this week on the state's education savings program, informally called school vouchers by some people. Private schools are able to opt in or opt out of this program, and we found out that all Catholic schools within the Archdiocese of San Antonio will now be participating in the state's new education savings program. That offers around $10,000 to Texas students who want to go to private school or other non-public schools. A statement from the Archdiocese says, in part, across the Archdiocese, schools are preparing to welcome many new families through the launch of this effort. These institutions are courageously meeting new challenges with confidence, eagerly planning for growth, end quote. Now, the School Discovery Network is an organization holding one of its School Discovery Days on Saturday. You can still find more information on that online.
And also you can help out the Texas Hill Country on October 18th, coming up soon, the Hope for Hunt benefit concert at Pure Country Barbecue and Grill in Bernie. So this concert is going to run from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. The tickets, a reminder here, are $80, but kiddos 12 and under, they will get in for free. The headliners include here Thompson Square, the J.R. Adetta Band, and more. So for details and the tickets, you can head over to KSAT.com and search Hope for Hunt.
And back to that School Discovery Day, there will be 40 schools represented there to answer your questions. That includes public, charter, and private schools. It's at the San Antonio Zoo from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And by the way, if you do go to this, you'll get into the zoo for free. So you can head to the School Discovery Network website right now to register. We wanted to make sure we got you that information so you can get there this weekend. A follow-up now to the Buckner Family Hope Center's ribbon cutting on the west side, which we showed you yesterday. It's a nonprofit helping strengthen families, especially single parents still figuring life out.
Well, the organization learned that 16% of families in San Antonio earn less than the federal poverty level there. So 46% are unable to make ends meet, and there were more than 14,000 incidents of family violence reported back in 2020.
Japhanie Gray wanted to see a real-time experience of just how life-changing this organization has been, and one woman told her she didn't know what her life would be like without them.
He passed away from cancer 6 years ago, and it was really tough. And then having to learn at 41 years old, okay, Kat, you've got to go out into the real world now and go start your life.
Kathy Cisneros has been a widow for years, learning how to navigate life as a single mother.
Many, many nights of crying, feeling alone.
Moving from Wimberley to the Alamo City changed her life, because she got involved with Buckner San Antonio.
I had Olivia, and I wanted her to engage with other kids and other families. I wanted to be out doing things too, because it didn't cost any money. Who has the money to be going, here, there, and everywhere?
The faith-based nonprofit provided many resources, including family coaching, financial classes, and therapy to help with years of grief. She says it has given her peace and healing, knowing she's not alone.
They teach you in a way to where you are able to reflect on yourself. And I think that's a really beautiful way of looking at yourself, learning how to love yourself as a person, as a mother, to be strong.
With the opening of Buckner Family Hope Center, Cisneros feels that she can be even more of an advocate for the organization, especially to those in her shoes.
If I could give a mom advice, I would tell her that. Don't give up. It's okay that you're single. It's okay that you feel like you're by yourself, but there's help out there. You just have to want it.
And if you are a single parent and you need community or some kind of life education, you can visit this article. It's on our website at KSAT.com. Just search for Buckner San Antonio. Well, looking ahead to Monday, October 20th, that is when early voting for the upcoming election starts. The important dates are on your screen right there. So this time, Bexar County voters will decide on 2 propositions both related to the San Antonio Spurs' potential relocation to a downtown arena. We have everything you need to know about this year's election. You can just visit our website, ksat.com/vote.
Proposition B asks voters to approve two things: increasing Bexar County's 1.75% tax on hotel stays up to 2%, and using that money to pay for part of a new Spurs arena. Prop B is also asking voters to use the county's existing 5% tax on car rentals to pay for the arena too. Those two sources would add up to roughly $311 million in county funding for the arena. Prop B is not an increase in sales tax or property taxes. Now to Prop A. That aims to take care of the Freeman Coliseum and the Frost Bank Center should the Spurs leave for downtown. Prop A asks voters to use those same tax sources, the increased hotel tax and car rental tax, to allow the San Antonio Rodeo to become the year-round tenant of those locations and make upgrades. If voters say yes, $198 million in county money would go towards that. Important to note, venue taxes cannot be used on core services like streets, sidewalks, or public safety.
Well, last night at 6:30, we did break down what you need to know about the proposal for a new Spurs arena in downtown San Antonio. There's been a lot of debate and a lot of confusion over that project, and the Spurs arena and Project Marvel are not the same thing. So you can find that full explanation online right now at ksat.com.
Taking a look outside with live cam. Although it's sitting warm now with those beautiful blue skies, it wasn't warm this morning, at least for some folks in the hill country. They were waking up in the 50s, believe it or not. 55 degrees in Junction and Fredericksburg, 59 degrees in Carville. Sitting a little warmer as you were waking up this morning in San Antonio, and more of the same as you're waking up throughout the next 7 to 10 days. In the 60s, but there is some cooler weather approaching Texas. Not necessarily impacting us, but there could be some cooler temperatures for other folks. We'll break down what you need to know coming up after the break.
All right, let's take a look at the average gas prices from AAA Texas.
Bexar County is at $2.64 a gallon. Texas is at $2.65, and the national average right here at $3.06. So let's talk about why we're seeing lower prices at the pump. The Energy Information Administration is reporting that demand for gasoline has fallen to a 4-month low, and the third quarter of 2025 ended with higher gasoline inventories.
And we are also in the middle of the seasonal transition from summer grade to winter grade fuel, and that means drivers are likely to see even lower prices in the coming weeks.
Well, they say that they're switching to winter, but I mean, it still feels like summer here. So should we let the gas companies know?
Well, as long as it's cheaper, we'll just let them think what they want to think.
I mean, it definitely does still feel like summer. I went to get gas. I went home the last few days and I noticed the gas prices, but I still had to get the iced coffee because it is still warm. And it's all because of one reason. It's still that area of high pressure that's been sitting and camping over South Texas and really over the entire state. What's felt like the last month to even 2 months. Normally the big blue H, that area of high pressure, gives us the triple-digit heat we're used to seeing in the summer months such as June, July, and August. But for us, it's still giving us the warmer temperatures about 8 to 10 degrees above our average temperature. And that's what we're watching to still be the weather maker as we head throughout the next few days. But this low just off the coast and just over California and Nevada will continue to make its way closer to the Four Corners, and it will bring some portions of the country some cooler temperatures. But take a look at 2025. So far, the entire month, the average is about 80 degrees. This year, in this October, could potentially be one of the hottest Octobers in history. Last year, we got to about 78.5 degrees. Years previously, we've been in about 76 degrees or so. So this year could be one of the hottest months, but we still have the rest of the month to go. So we'll continue to keep you posted on that. 82 degrees right now sitting in San Antonio, 83 in Fredericksburg, 84 degrees as you go down towards Freer. But not only that, some of that cooler air is coming in from Canada, such as Winnipeg sitting at about 49 degrees, even areas of Alaska sitting in 29 degrees sitting in Fairbanks, Alaska. So all of that cooler air in areas of Canada can make its way closer to the United States. 49 degrees in Grand Forks, North Dakota, 37 degrees in Billings, already sitting at about 45 degrees in Boise and 55 in Salt Lake City. So what we're watching is as that low pressure system continues to make its way, it's bringing 10 to 15 degrees below their average temperatures and all of that cooler air, which is going to push some of this heat away. Take a look at Omaha. Almost 15 degrees above their average temperature, and that's going to continue throughout the next 7 days. And even then, for us in San Antonio, we're going to continue throughout the next 7 to 10 days to be above average. Now, here's what we're watching. Like I've been mentioning, that cooler air is going to start to feed in. But here's the thing, there is a cool front associated with this. But although that front might get to San Antonio, we've been talking about it the last few days. That front could just bring some rain chances, not necessarily that cooler air. But in areas of Oklahoma, let's say, they might be feeling some of those cooler temperatures. So that's what we're watching, is that frontal system moving through this weekend could bring us that 10% chance of rain. But as that cooler air finally pushes down and just to the east, it's really going to miss us in San Antonio as we go into Monday. Now, next weekend, there is another chance of some cooler air, but what we're watching is similar situation. It might impact portions of the panhandle, but not necessarily us in Texas. Over the next 7 days, pretty much copy paste throughout the rest of the forecast, between upper 80s to even the low 90s for the forecast. 10% chance of rain on Friday and Saturday. That's associated with that weak cool front moving through, not necessarily giving us those cooler temperatures. 60s for most of us as we head throughout the next 7 days. Some folks in the hill country could be waking up with the morning temperatures in the 50s, but that's because they're a little further north. They don't have as much of the buildings to really reflect some of that heat off of, but otherwise pretty much copy paste for the weather forecast. Some cloud coverage returns for us in San Antonio, but we're all just watching for hopefully any sort of rain for us in San Antonio this weekend and potentially next weekend, guys.
One city declaring a state of emergency over immigration raids. I'm Rena Roy, and I'll have the latest coming up.
Well, now to some growing tensions across the country over immigration raids.
ABC's Rena Roy reports Los Angeles declared a state of emergency, and in Chicago, a chaotic confrontation between immigration officers and residents.
A dramatic clash caught on camera between federal immigration officers and people in Chicago. Homeland Security officials say an undocumented immigrant inside this vehicle tried to flee from arrest, ramming into a Border Patrol vehicle and triggering a pursuit. Agents purposely crashing into the SUV to stop it. Two people then fled on foot. A crowd at the scene growing hostile, throwing objects, agents firing tear gas. Border Patrol officials saying this incident is not isolated and reflects a growing and dangerous trend of illegal aliens violently resisting arrest and agitators and criminals ramming cars into our law enforcement officers. And Homeland Security officials say Mexican cartels now are attempting to track, harass, and target immigration and Border Patrol agents. The department warning cartels are offering $2,000 for gathering intelligence on federal officials and their families, $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assaults, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials.
We're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets.
And in Los Angeles, a state of emergency declared over the raids, allowing officials to offer rent relief to immigrants who are not going to work out of fear, and also small businesses impacted by the raids. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.